Hey everyone! Rinku back again with that deck profile that I told you guys about that I was going to do in the previous deck profile. This time we are going to be doing standard deck profile on Raizers. So we'll start off with the Excel markers. Obviously you have to play those. It's like, why wouldn't you? Yeah, I know I don't need 9 of them, but you know what? I'd rather have a bunch of them just in case I lose them, which I do have a big habit of losing stuff like that. And then moving on to the actual main deck, start off with the grade 3s. Packing 4, Perfect Raizer. There's really nothing to say about Perfect Raizer. It's really good. I mean, as long as you can manage your counterblasts, I mean, almost every turn you're going to be getting a minimum of like 4 or 5 attacks, 6 attacks, something like that. It's pretty nuts. I've had a small amount of playtesting, but I haven't had as much as I would like to. The next grade 3s, we play 2 Battledore Fighter. I don't care what anyone says, this card is really good. If you have to ride this card, it is not going to hurt you at all. You know, making your opponent guard with 2 cards at the same time. I mean, that just, to me, I love when cards break mechanics of the game because that puts a little more uniqueness behind it. And with this card, specifically in Nova Grapplers, and makes it so your opponent has to think on what they want to guard with, rather than just trying to plan what they want to guard with before they even do anything while you're setting up your board. So once this card is on the vanguard, it's pretty good. On rear guard, I think it's really good too, because you know it's gonna pretty much always get 5k. So there's no reason why you shouldn't at least try it out. I'm not saying you have to play it. I'm not saying, oh, if you don't play it, you're a bad player. No. You play whatever you want. Everybody chooses their own cards and plays how they want towards their playstyle. But for my playstyle, I believe that having a 27k consistent rear guard in the Excel area is really good. I play 1 Maximum Raizer too. Maximum Raizer, basically the same thing. Becomes 32k though in the Excel mark circle. Even on Vanguard, it can be 22,000. You just don't boost. I've seen a lot of people that made the mistake of boosting and making their Vanguard a little weaker than they actually should have been. And then for now, we play 1 Osher Kaiser just because I really didn't feel like putting another Maximum Raizer in. But chances are I more than likely will, because Osher doesn't really do too much for standard, in my own opinion, as of right now. Maybe in the future when we get more Nova support, this might be a little better. Alright, moving on to the grade 2s. My grade 2s are a little weird. We're playing 4 high-powered Raizer Custom. I mean, there's not really too much else to say. It's high-powered Raizer Custom. I mean, as long as you're playing the starter that works with them in standard, you're good to go. And then 3 Burst Raizer. I opted at one point to play 4, but I wanted to go a little past the norm, I guess, so to speak. I've seen some builds play 4, I've seen some play 3, and it's very rare that I ever see any other build playing less than those 2 numbers that I just mentioned. All in all, Burst Raizer is really good. I've seen this thing in Premium, and it is insane. Like, I didn't realize this card was as good in Premium as I originally thought, but for the standard, this is really good. Like, against Excel decks, this is really good too. Especially when you push them to 4 damage before you even get to your grade 3. The next grade 2 is 2 Iron Killer. I've seen a lot of people playing 4 of it. It's not a bad card. I think it's really good. 24k in the Excel area. Really good against those, decks that are of the 12k base. 13k base, it's a little easier to guard, but still they have to it's guaranteed to get 15k out of their hand for shield. This may or may not change. The number may or may not change. And then I play 2 of the Boomerang Thrower. It's a resource manager. I believe with this deck you have to have managed resource management of some kind. There's really no reason why you shouldn't play at least 2 of these, especially if you want those later games where you're at like 3 or 4 damage and you only have like 1 counterblast up, and you don't want to rely too much on your Perfect Raizer hitting, so you drop this on the rear guard and that's automatic counter charge. And then that's a possible kill turn for you. Right, now we're going into the grade 1s. For now, we're playing 2 Death Army guy. It's just it's not because it's 9K. It's just at the time that I was building the deck, I didn't really think of anything else to put in, so I just grabbed 2 of these out of the box and was like, screw it, I'll just run with this for now. I mean, it's not too bad, but I could make better choices when it comes to that. Then we're playing 2 Rocket Hammermen. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing with these 2 in here. I think at one point I was going to play a little more like the hero engine, but then I remembered that there would really be no point because I'm focusing more on like the Raizer setup, you know, with more restanding and just trying to like get rid of your opponent as soon as possible. That's more than likely going to change. Then playing 2 of the Trans Raizer, I think this card's really good as standard. I mean, it's just the same way as the Boomerang Thrower, Resource Manager, and it, you know, gives itself 3K, so it can be an 11K booster whenever you decide to use it. I mean, I say try it out. If you're building Rise, just try like 1 or 2 of them out. You might be surprised of how good it is. Then we got 4 Jet Raizer. This card is insane in the standard. Like, hands down, this card is so good. Like, having multiple front row rear guards more than what you're supposed to is already insane. But, you know, dropping this in the Excel area, it's already 17K. And then you start throwing all your rear guards down to try to go for that kill turn. This thing gets really big really quick. Yeah. Kind of, I think this is a mandatory 4 of. No matter what build you're playing, even if you're playing heroes, I think it's a mandatory 4 of. And then the final grade 1 is the 4 Raizer Custom. Yeah. I think being able to generically restand this unit in the same column as a unit that restands is really good. In all the time that I've been playing in this game, I've seen so many cards that do something like that, but they require having, you know, a unit that's like Raizer, for instance, in the same column, or if your Vanguard is X, or if you do this or that, then it can restand. But this just, it doesn't matter if you're no gen break, no nothing, no, like, this card is okay in premium and it's good in standard. I think it's really good in both formats. And then moving on to the zeros. I have a very unique way of playing my zeros, especially with a deck that doesn't really need certain triggers. But we play the Battle Raizer. Battle Raizer works good with some of your cards in your deck. Then we're playing 6 front triggers. Front triggers are nuts. I think this is like, I did not ever think that they were going to make a 5th trigger in Vanguard, and here I am proven wrong many years after playing the game later. Yeah. I don't care about the whole Raizer thing right now. It's just, I wanted to keep it 3-3, but playing 6 front trigger is like, that's the standard minimum amount that I believe that you should try out in a deck. I've seen a couple builds with 8 front, which is kind of cool. I mean, that's alright, but I prefer 6 front for me. And then we have the 4 Twin Bladers and 2 3 minutes. This is a favorite of everybody's. I think I like this card too. It's really cool. It's the best name ever. But yeah, as far as why running 6 draws, I think is a little more optimal than running only 4. You want to keep cards in your hand. You know, playing an Excel deck is fun, but at the same time, when you're in a competitive environment, you want to try to keep cards in your hand, because you're going against other Excel decks and you're going against Force, especially Kagero. Kagero is they're just gonna make you get rid of most of the cards in your hand by killing off your rear guards, minimizing the counterblasts you have. So then you have to try to, you know, pretty much force your way through that. But I see a lot of players making the mistake of just like calling everything down the moment they ride their first grade 3. To be honest with you, you don't really have to do that. Again, everybody plays their game differently, but I believe that this deck can be played a lot slower. I mean, you have a front row rear guard that's guaranteed plus 10K, and you pretty much can restand that rear guard every turn or every other turn. So taking advantage of that Excel circle and not having to worry about getting rid of too many of your resources is pretty good. I believe that is the way to go with this deck. I mean, for instance, you ride your perfect Raizer or whatever Excel grade 3 you have. You don't have to just call, oh, call, man, I'm gonna call. You don't have to do that. You want to pace yourself. You don't want to get too overzealous. You go overzealous, you're going to waste your resources, you're going to lose. Especially against Kagero. Kagero can just, they can have one card in their hand and top deck that one Waterfall Dragon that they need to beat you. And it doesn't matter how many cards you have in your hand, you're going to die. And they're going to try to go, 2-3 critical on the Vanguard attack out in one turn with so many force markers on the Vanguard. I would know I've done it. So, yeah, I play the 6 draw because I want to resource manage and make it so that I can last a lot longer throughout the game and not have to worry about struggling too much. You still struggle a little bit because, again, it's an Excel deck, and they rely a lot on multi-attacks, I believe, and resource manage it. And then the final 0, we play the 4 Wall Boys. I don't really know about the whole 8 front 8 draw. I'm not really a big fan of that. I believe you still need the heals, not just because it's 20k, but again, your damage zone is another way of resource management, not in the form of saving counterblasts, but in the form of giving you more options to take attacks that you normally would guard. You definitely don't want to just take a whole bunch of attacks. I played against a lot of people that are just no guard on almost everything. And then they try to guard the Vanguard, and it's just all right, well, I'm just going to restand 2 rear guards, and you don't have any resources anymore because you wasted it on the Vanguard. But any Nova Grappler deck that I go against, and I see that they're playing, no crits, I'm going to no guard their Vanguard if I'm at 4 damage. There's no reason to guard it. I mean, that's another... Again, it's a resource. Your damage zone should be used as a resource more than just oh man, I'm on a time clock. You don't have to worry about that. When you're in a kill shot range, your opponent has you in a kill shot range. That's when you worry about it. But other than that, you really shouldn't too concern yourself with that. Unless your opponent's really lucky and they're going to keep critting you every drive check. I mean, then in 3 turns you're going to lose. But all in all, I think you should definitely play the 4 heals because. Getting lucky on that 6 damage heal is so fun. But, yeah, that's it for the standard Nova Grapplers profile. If there's any suggestions, questions, comments, you know where to put them. Let us know. We definitely enjoy the feedback. I know I love answering questions and comments. Also, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you wish. Alrighty. Rinko signing out.